friends, how are you all today? Well, welcome back to your own YouTube channel, Ask Your Gynecologist. I'm Dr. Sonal Parihar. Today the topic is endometriosis. Now I'm getting a lot of requests from people, madam, what is endometriosis? Please tell us about endometriosis. I'm sure these patients who are requesting endometriosis are the ones who have actually once in their lifetime suffered, or one of their family members or friends have suffered from endometriosis, because it is not a very common disease and it is not like that everybody would understand what it is. So if I just start explaining what is endometriosis. Endometriosis is a condition in where the inner lining of the uterus, which is called endometrium, as you can see in the diagram, there are three linings of the uterus. One is the serosa, the outer lining, then comes the myometrium, and then comes the endometrium. Now this particular endometrium, it grows during a menstrual cycle, and when you start menstruating, it is this tissue, this endometrium, which sheds with blood. The overgrowth of the endometrium, it sheds. So only a thin lining of the endometrium is left after you finish your periods. So when this particular endometrium, this particular lining is present in your tummy, outside the uterus, that is, it is an ectopic endometrium, that is called endometriosis. Right? So now this particular endometriosis, there are like patches of tissues outside the uterus. Now when they are outside, they can be anywhere. They can be on the tube, they can be on the ovary, they can be on the back, the wall of the uterus, and causing lots of adhesions. They can be on the pipe of the urine, which is called ureter, which comes from the kidney and connects to the bladder. They can be on the bowel, the intestines. They can be on the fat, or they can just be lying like this in the abdominal wall. So endometriosis as such, we don't know. If you actually ask me why this happens, we don't know the reason. There are so many theories being proposed, but the most common and the most accepted theory is that probably when you menstruate, when the ladies they menstruate, instead of blood going down, when it always comes down through the vagina, because that is the natural way how you menstruate, some of the blood actually travels retrograde in the backward direction. From the uterus, it enters the fallopian tubes, and then it goes out from the fallopian tube into the abdomen. Once it goes in the abdomen, it is free to go and settle down anywhere. Right? So as I told you, it can be anywhere, and depending upon where it is, how much it is, you will have your symptoms. Right? Now what happens when blood actually collects at one place? If you have seen when you get hurt, you get a cut and you bleed, what happens after a few minutes? It kind of solidifies, then it changes its color to dark red, then within 2-3 days it will become blackish, right? It becomes like a crusty thing, and then it comes off and the normal skin comes in, right? So when you actually start menstruating, right, your uterus is menstruating, it is passing the blood, the macrophages and the endometrium, which is not required inside. The overgrown endometrium is coming out because there is a way to come out. That is a natural way, the vagina. But what happens to the blood inside? Well, it has no way to come out. So it just kind of bleeds there only. So when you're menstruating, it's bleeding inside. That endometrium is also growing and bleeding. So when you actually have your period, you come to know within 1 or 2 days before that I'm going to have my periods very soon, because I'm having that crampy pain. So that particular pain is because the uterus is growing, the endometrium is growing, and it is preparing itself to come out. So same thing happens in the abdomen. It is preparing, it is growing, it is preparing that it has to come out, but there is no way to come out. So it just kind of grows there and it forms cysts. Cysts in the form of like balls, structures, ball-like structures which have blood inside, dirty fluid inside, collected blood inside, and that collected blood takes the form of a chocolate. That is why we call it chocolate cysts. What are chocolate cysts? Chocolate cysts are basically endometriosis in the ovary. The ovary collects endometrium, it has endometrium, and when it bleeds inside during periods, it kind of gets collected, the old blood for months and months it is getting collected. So it changes its color from red, from maroon to chocolate. So when we actually cut it, when we remove the ovarian cyst, the chocolate cyst, it gives a very chocolatey material. That's what you can see in the diagram, right? So this is what happens, is why it is called chocolate cyst. It's a kind of endometriosis. So this is what I was telling you, that inside the abdomen, it can either form cysts or it can form adhesions. You must have seen what happens when you get a cut. When there is a crust, the skin outside it gets wrinkled, because it is kind of pulling that skin inside. The crust is pulling that skin inside. This is exactly what happens in the abdomen. So when your blood, the endometriosis, it bleeds, then it kind of forms a crust, and then it pulls the structures which are like surrounding it. It might be the bowel, it might be the omentum, it might be the fat, it might be the ureter, and everything can kind of get stuck. The tubes and ovaries might also get stuck, right? So this is a complication. Obviously you will start having a lot of pain, and this is called endometriotic scarring, and sometimes it is so bad that it actually mimics cancer, but it is not cancer. Please do not confuse endometriosis with cancer. Yes, it is something which cannot be cured. It is like PCOD because it is growing with your hormone. So once you are down with your hormones, once you enter menopause, your natural menopause or your surgical menopause, once the ovaries are out, stop producing hormones, endometriosis will stop. Right? So it is something which is not curable like PCOD, but it is not cancer also. It does give a picture of a cancer because when we do a laparoscopy, we do a surgery, the internal picture of the abdomen with everything kind of stuck together, that gives a feeling of a cancer. Okay, so don't think it's a life-threatening disease. It is not. It is not fatal. Okay. Now coming to the symptoms. No, coming to first of all the risk factors. Who all ladies will have endometriosis? First of all, we don't know why it happens. As I told you, retrograde menstruation can happen in anyone, but there are two major risk factors which have been discussed so far. That ladies who have never produced a child, probably because they didn't marry or probably because they delayed their childbearing because of whatever reason. So a lady who has never had a child has more chances of developing endometriosis as compared to a lady who has already delivered a couple of children, right? Secondly, the age group. The age group generally 25 to 40, I would say 30 to 40 is more common when you have had one or two children or when you are trying to conceive in the late reproductive age group, right? So when you are actually approaching menopause. So that is the particular time when endometriosis generally is diagnosed, but it can be as early as a teenage as well. Okay. Now coming to the symptoms, how will you know that you have endometriosis? Well, first of all, the most important symptom is pain, especially pain during periods. The pain during periods, that is dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea is very, very common. It can be because of anything. It can be very normal. Everybody has like 1 or 2 days of discomfort, pain, and then once you start menstruating, the pain goes away within 1 day, within 1 or 2 days, right? So it is very difficult. It is we doctors, we decide according to your history, the kind of history that you give us, that probably you start having pain, a very crampy sort of pain, 3-4 days before the period start, and then even during the periods you're very uncomfortable, the pain doesn't go away. That clicks, that kind of points towards you might be having endometriosis. Secondly, you might have very heavy bleeding. Okay, that is again because of endometriosis, because of excessive blood supply to your uterus and the pelvic organs, right? Then you can have a lot of scarring inside the abdomen, might give you a lot of pain. In spite of just having pain during periods, you might have pain even outside the period, even during the entire month you might have pain. Okay. Now, if the endometriosis is affecting your ureter, the pipe, the urine pipe, then you will have lots of problem in passing urine. If it is affecting your bowel, then you will have lots of problems. It will be like irritable bowel syndrome. You might have crampy pain when you pass stools. It can be diarrhea, it can be constipation, it can be a normal stool, but still very painful defecation. Okay. Then the last and the most important one would be infertility. One more thing I forgot to tell you, that is painful intercourse. This is because when the endometriosis is affecting the back of the uterus which normally moves, it has to move a little bit during intercourse. It cannot move, and those scar tissue, they're very, very painful. So painful intercourse is again one of the major pointers of endometriosis. Then the most fatal complication, the most fatal thing would be infertility. Obviously, when a patient cannot conceive and she has pain during periods and she has other symptoms which I just told you, then our first diagnosis, our first pointer would be endometriosis. Okay, why does infertility happen? First of all, because the painful intercourse is painful, so obviously you cannot have a proper relation with your partner. Secondly, if it is affecting your tube and your ovary, if the tubes get blocked because of the endometriotic scarring, or if the ovaries stop producing ova, that is the follicles are destroyed because of the endometriotic scarring tissue, then obviously you will have infertility. Okay, so these are some symptoms which are pointers towards endometriosis. Now, coming to how will the doctor diagnose? First of all would be history. As I told you, we always get an idea from your history. Secondly would be an internal examination, which is a must. Where you go to a gynecologist, always get yourself internally checked, because that is that comes with experience. We learn with experience, we doctors, and that gives us a hint that you might be having endometriosis, because when we try to move your uterus, we try to move the cervix, or we try to feel the back of the uterus, that's the pouch of Douglas, we might feel the nodules. First of all, the examination is generally not very painful. It is not painful at all, in fact. It is more uncomfortable and slightly embarrassing. But if it is very, very painful, we can see it, we can feel that patient is actually wincing with pain. That is a pointer towards endometriosis. Then comes investigations. Ultrasound is a very vague investigation. We will only come to know if it is a chocolate cyst, if it is forming some cyst. Again, we will not be very sure unless we actually see that cyst, we remove it, because it will just show a shadow of something filled with fluid, right? Now, very experienced sonologists will tell you it looks like a chocolate cyst, but otherwise we cannot see the tissue which is not forming a cyst. Then comes MRI. In MRI, because soft tissue enhancing is very good, so sometimes we can see the if the endometriotic tissue can be easily pointed out and it is like there in too much quantity, then it will show like nodules in the MRI. It will be like fluorescently diagnosed. It will be easily diagnosed by the radiologist that yes, there are some nodules which are showing some light and they look like endometriosis. The most important investigation, I would say the gold standard, is laparoscopy. Laparoscopy is a keyhole surgery in which we do not open the abdomen. We just made 1, 2 or 3 small holes of 1 centimeter and we go inside with the camera. A very big image is formed in the TV. It is a highly magnified image. We can see and we can treat. Again, we can only treat the endometriotic tissue which we can see, which is forming adhesions, which is showing some glands, which is forming cysts. We cannot see the microscopic invasion, because there is always some microscopic tissue present there. So as I said, there is no permanent treatment. We can just treat the area which we can see in the camera. Okay. Next, coming to the complications. Now, complications, as I said, first of all is infertility, because that can be it can be very severe for a patient if she is actually suffering from pain and lots of adhesions, and sometimes it is very difficult for the patient to conceive with a very bad pelvic, right? Then comes a frozen pelvis. Frozen pelvis means everything inside your pelvis, the uterus, the tubes, the ovaries, the surrounding structures, that is sigmoid, colon, then the ureters, the bladder, everything is kind of stuck up like a frozen area. Frozen means we cannot go in, we cannot cure it surgically or medically. It is very rare to have such kind of a condition. It more of mimics like a cancer. You might think, oh my god, or doctor might think initially, if the doctor has not yet diagnosed its endometriosis, they might think it might be a cancer, right? But again, it is not cancer. But if it is that bad, then obviously it is a severe endometriosis, and that is a major complication. Now, there are a couple of, I can say, major complications in the form of cancers, which are not very commonly found, but the literature says, the audits that we have done or the research that we have done on endometriosis suggests that a lady with endometriosis has slightly more increased risk of developing ovarian cancer as compared to a lady who is absolutely normal, does not have endometriosis. A very slightly increased risk, right? Now, endometrial lining cancer, that is a cancer of the uterine lining, that is again more common in a patient who is suffering from long-standing endometriosis as compared to a lady who has never had endometriosis. So these are some complications you should be aware of. And one more thing, if the doctor tells you that it's a mild disease, it's a moderate disease, it's a minimal disease, or it's a severe disease, there are 4 stages of endometriosis, it will always be diagnosed on the basis of laparoscopy. That is a surgery, that is a keyhole surgery. It can never be diagnosed properly on the basis of medicines or on the basis of MRIs and ultrasounds or internal examination. So always trust your doctor that it has to be treated and diagnosed laparoscopically. Right? So till then, I think you can just do some research on endometriosis. The patients who are already understanding me are probably the ones who have already suffered from endometriosis or who have actually seen somebody suffering from endometriosis, and the others can also actually Google it and so that you can get an idea of what I am telling you. In the next video, I am going to tell you what are the home remedies, how you can fight your endometriosis, and what all suggestions, what all medicines and injections the doctor would give you. Right? So till then, do subscribe to my channel, Ask Your Gynecologist. Ask your friends, ask your family to subscribe, because just watching the video is not good enough. You should subscribe as well, so that you can come to know all the videos and it increases my number as well. I really love answering all your questions. It is getting very interactive day by day. And you can also follow me on my Instagram handle, sonal.pariha.33. Many people are asking me my phone numbers. They want to consult me directly on the phone, or they want to come to my hospital. So for them, this is my hospital's address. I am in India, in Rajasthan, and these are 2 phone numbers. The landline number is from my hospital reception. You can always call there and book an appointment, or you can call my secretary directly. Okay, so till then, take care. I'll be back again with the second part of this video. Bye bye.